Good morning. I am your teacher, Marlene Lopez, and I will be with you today to discuss the lesson about linear and non-linear text. This lesson is based from the most essential learning competency, which is transcoding information from linear to nonlinear text and vice versa, from 42, week 7 to 8. To direct us in achieving the learning goal, let me present to you the objectives for this lesson. First, define the terms linear and nonlinear. Second, differentiate linear from nonlinear text. And lastly, transcode linear to nonlinear text and vice versa. But before we proceed to our lesson proper, shall we have this activity first? Group the following pictures according to their similarities. Draw a line to connect the picture to its group labeled as group A for pictures that use text that need to be read from beginning to end, and group B for pictures with text that do not need to be read from beginning to end. I will give you 5 minutes to do the activity. Okay, timer starts now. Okay, time is up. Are you done? Now, we will check your answers. Since our activity is all about grouping the pictures according to the similarities, therefore, poem and letter belong to the same group, which is group A. And character map and Venn diagram belong to the same group, which is group B. Are your answers correct? Okay, the words in column A are examples of linear text, while the words in column B are examples of nonlinear text. Can you cite their difference? Information comes in various forms, and it can be transmitted not only through linear presentations, meaningful sentences, and paragraphs, but also through the use of graphs, tables, and charts. And since learners have their own preferences in understanding and presenting ideas and information better, it is relevant to discuss the salient features of linear and non-linear text. Now, what is linear text and how it differs from nonlinear text? Linear text refers to traditional text that needs to be read from beginning to the end. Here, the reader makes sense of the text according to its grammatical and syntactic arrangement of words. Examples of linear texts are novels, poems, letters, textbooks, news reports, and essays. All the texts that we read from beginning to end are linear texts. Linear text is the most common type of reading, and it is a traditional method of reading. However, it is not always advantageous to use linear text because when you are in a hurry, you have to read the whole text from beginning to end in order to find specific information you need, and it may take considerable amount of time. Now, let me explain or give the definition of the different examples of linear text. Novel. Novel is a relatively long work of narrative fiction, normally written in prose, and which is typically published as a book. I know you are familiar what a novel is, right? Poem is a form of literature that uses aesthetic and often rhythmic qualities of language. Letter is a written message conveyed from one person to another through a mutual. Are you fond of writing a letter? If you're fond of writing a letter, then it's good. Next, textbook is a book containing a comprehensive compilation of content in a branch of study with the intention of explaining it. News report is information about current events, and essay is generally a piece of writing that gives the author's own arguments. So these are some of the examples of linear text. Now let us proceed to the definition and examples of non-linear text. Non-linear text refers to texts that do not need to be read from beginning to the end. Non-linear text is the opposite of linear text. As the name suggests, it is non-sequential. In other words, the readers do not have to go through the text in a sequential manner. And non-linear text has many reading paths, since it's the reader who will decide the sequence of reading and not the author of the text. Now, we will define each of the examples of non-linear text. So we have examples of nonlinear text are tables, pie charts, flow charts, pictures, diagrams, character maps, and sequence charts. Okay, table is an arrangement of data in rows and columns, or possibly in a more complex structure. Pie chart is circular statistical graphic which is divided into slices to illustrate numerical proportion. A flow chart is a type of diagram that represents a workflow or process. Then picture is a design or representation made by various means, such as painting, drawing, or photography. A diagram is a symbolic representation of information using visualization techniques. Character map is a graphic organizer that helps students learn about a character and how the character impacts as impacted by setting, other characters, and plots. And sequence charts show object interactions arranged in time sequence. Okay, now that I am done discussing the differences between linear and nonlinear text and its examples, do you have any questions or clarifications to make before we proceed to our next activity? If none, then let's proceed to our next activity. Our next activity is all about how to transpose linear text to non-linear text. So we have this example. Example number 1. How to cook scrambled eggs. So this example is a linear text, right? So a procedure here is presented. Now, what is the appropriate nonlinear text to be used for this kind of linear text? I'll give you 3 minutes to answer. Okay. The time is up. The answer is sequence chart. Now, why sequence chart? Since we're talking about process or procedure, then it is appropriate to use sequence chart for that kind of linear text. Do you have the same answer? If you have the same answer, then your answer is correct. Now, let's proceed to example number 2. Okay, let me read example number 2. Josh's aunt's house is 4 miles away from home. He visits his aunt every weekend using his bike. It takes 4 hours for him to travel to get to the aunt's house and under 4 hours to get back home. Okay, with this kind of linear text, what is the appropriate non-linear text to be used for this kind of linear text? Do you have an idea? I'll give you another 3 minutes to answer. Okay. The answer is, anybody? All right. The answer is line graph. Why line graph? Okay. We are going to use line graph because in a line graph, you can present there the number of miles that Josh traveled from his home to his aunt's house and the number of minutes he gets to his aunt's house and then the number of minutes he gets back home. So this is a clear presentation of Josh bikes through. Do you have the same answer or do you have the same answer? Or you have another answer? Okay, if you have the same answer, then your answer is correct. Okay, so since you don't have any questions or clarifications, let's proceed to the clear picture or the table that clearly differentiates what a linear text and a non-linear text is. Okay. So from the definition, linear text refers to traditional text that need to be read from beginning to the end, while non-linear text refers to texts that do not need to be read from beginning to the end. And when it comes to the reading path, there is only one reading path for linear text, which is decided by the author, while for non-linear text, there are multiple reading paths. They are determined by the reader. When it comes to content, for linear text, it typically includes printed text, while non-linear text typically includes digital text. When it comes to efficiency, for linear text, it may take time to find the information readers are searching for, since for linear text, you have to read the whole text from beginning to the end to find the specific information, while for non-linear text, it allows readers to find more information efficiently. Okay. So, to sum it up, the difference between linear and non-linear text mainly depends on the reading paths. Since linear texts have a sequential order, they have only one reading path. However, non-linear texts have multiple reading paths since they are non-sequential. This time, to know whether you learned something from our discussion, let me give you another activity. The activity is you're going to identify what nonlinear text or visual representations should be used in transcoding the sample linear text. So we have here 5 sample linear texts, and you're going to transcode it using the appropriate nonlinear text. Okay, I will give you 10 minutes to do the activity. And after that, I am requesting you to show your answers. Now, what is your answer for number 1? Okay. For number 1, a paragraph explaining the student's favorite types of music. So the answer here is bar graph. So you can use bar graph in explaining the student's favorite types of music. As you can see that their most favorite type of music is jazz, followed by hip hop, classical, and then rap. Next, number 2, a paragraph presenting the fine effect a household owns. So what is the appropriate non-linear text to be used? Well, you can use a pie graph. Okay, as you can see, pet ownership. Okay, you can see here that dogs or the pet owner prefer dogs, then cats, fish, rabbits, and rodents. Because dogs got the highest percentage, which is 55%. Next, number 3, survey report on Filipino adults with social media accounts from March 2019 to December 2019. So for this survey report, you can use bar graphs. As you can see that the highest is Facebook account, followed by YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Viber, and Snapchat. Then number 4, a paragraph discussing the similarities and differences between asteroids and meteoroids. Now, to know the similarities and differences between asteroids or meteoroids, you can present it through a Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram can clearly show the differences and the similarities of asteroids and meteoroids. Next, a paragraph explaining how Juan helped an elderly cross the street. Now, there's no need for you to write it in a paragraph. Since in presenting a picture, you can then show that Juan is helping an elderly crossing the street. Okay, do you have the same answers? If you have the same answers, then all your answers are correct. Now, another activity. Analyze the graph and answer the questions that follow. So let's analyze the graphs, and after that, there are questions. Anybody can answer question number 1? Okay. So for question number 1, how many children like dog? Okay. In the graph, you can see that there are 10 children who like dog, right? Okay, number 2, which animal did the children like the least? Okay, so from the diagram, the graph, you can see that the children like the cat least, right? So the answer is cat. Now for number 3, how many children like rabbits? So there are 8 children who liked rabbits. I am happy that you learned something today. In fact, most of you got a perfect score in our quiz. That's good to know. How about a hand for all of us? Thank you so much for watching, guys. And before we end the discussion, let me give you an assignment. For your assignment, discuss your family's monthly expenses using a non-linear text. So you can write your assignment in a long non-linear. Now, how I'm going to give you a score for your assignment. Okay, this is the rubric in giving grades in your assignments. Okay. So I want you to read the rubric and then try to analyze so that you can get a perfect score. Thank you so much, my dear students, and thanks for watching. See you on my next video. Bye-bye.